people talk about gun violence in America. This is an interesting statistic. You can do this on ChatGPT. One of these guys can probably pull it up real quick. If you were to look at gun deaths in America, where does America rank? We would rank up there, maybe top 20, right? But if you pull out the top 5 or the top 10 blue cities in America, you take out their homicides, we'd go down to like 180 out of like 200 countries.
Right.
So we would be arguably one of the safest countries in America. So, in the world. So it's interesting that the cities that have the worst policies, in my opinion, and certainly very restrictive gun policies, have the highest homicide rates in all of America. Everybody in Miami has guns, and we have the lowest homicide rate. So is it a gun thing, or is it a social policy thing?
So let's go through some of the wins, because mostly what I talk about on the show when I'm doing domestic politics is blue cities imploding. And then I'm always saying, well, here I am in Miami where everything's great. And the only thing people complain about is traffic. Yeah. Maybe you can address traffic, but go through some of the wins that have happened here in the last, what is this? This will be
now it's 8 years as mayor, 8 years as council. So really, if you go back 16 years when I became councilman, I inherited a broken city. We were bankrupt. And I've often said that our model for success is frankly the same model that any state or city should implement around the world. We do 3 things. We do 3 things well. We keep taxes low, we keep people safe, and we lean into innovation. So when you delve into that, keeping taxes low. So what have I done? I've lowered the tax rate, the millage rate. We don't have a state income tax, so we're already benefiting vis-a-vis New York, Illinois, and California. But I lowered the millage rate, which is the rate at which we apply against our property taxes to get the property tax rate.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about that too, because that's another thing.
I know that's another issue that's been talked about a lot. But we lowered it to the lowest level ever. And what happened? We saw unprecedented growth. So we grew 150% in the last 10 years. So it turns out when you create a favorable tax environment, people invest. What happens when people invest? You get more resources. So you can pay your police officers better. You can deal with things like homelessness. We've often talked about homelessness on the show. We have the lowest homeless rate in 11 years. In our last census, we had 534 unsheltered homeless. We want to be the first American city to have 0, and we're quickly approaching that. We're 13% down year over year. And then, we kept people safe. We never got into the defund police nonsense. We never got into the no cash bail nonsense. We're a city of laws. We're a community that respects law and order. And because of that, we have probably one of the lowest homicide rates in history. So not probably, we do. So let me break that down for you. In 1946, we started recording homicides. That year we had 31. The worst year on record was 1980. I was 3 years old. We had 220. So from 31 to 220. The best year on record was 24 in the 1950s. Okay. We're 2024 now. 2025 now. Last year, 2024, we had 27. So less than 1946 and almost less than our record low. This year, we're at 23, and we still have, a couple months to go. So we have the possibility of having the lowest year on record. So we're going to be the safest city we've ever been historically, and one of the safest major cities in America. When you think about Chicago, sometimes they've had 50 gun shootings in a weekend.
We do it. It's a running joke. It's a joke in a sense, but on Mondays we do. How many people were shot and killed in Chicago? It's not that it's funny. It's like, it's just because tragic. You guys chose this.
It's tragic. Yeah. Well, when you look at, if you take out, people talk about gun violence in America. This is an interesting statistic. You can do this on ChatGPT. One of these guys can probably pull it up real quick. If you were to look at gun deaths in America, where does America rank? We would rank up there, maybe top 20, right? But if you pull out the top 5 or the top 10 blue cities in America, you take out their homicides, we'd go down to like 180 out of like 200 countries.
Right.
So we would be arguably one of the safest countries in America. So, in the world. So it's interesting that the cities that have the worst policies, in my opinion, and certainly very restrictive gun policies, have the highest homicide rates in all of America. Everybody in Miami has guns, and we have the lowest homicide rate. So is it a gun thing, or is it a social policy thing? We have the lowest unemployment in America. We have the highest median wage growth in America. We were ranked the happiest city in America and the healthiest city in America. You're happy, you're healthy, you're working.
I'm way happier and healthier here. It's true.
What are you not doing? Yeah. You're not killing anybody, right? Yeah. If you're happy, you're healthy, and you're working, you're not hurting people. It's just a very basic principle.
So at the height of sort of the BLM and the defund the police and all that stuff, were you under any pressure to go along with that kind of craziness?
Look, I think what we did during that time was we let people express their First Amendment rights to protest under the condition that they not hurt anybody or not destroy any property. We had a zero tolerance policy for those things. But other than that, we respect the First Amendment. We want people to have the ability to say what they want to say in the public square. And we're very open about that. But that cannot cross the line. And I think once we articulated that policy during the George Floyd manifestations or demonstrations, you saw that there was no Antifa here. Yep. There were none of the rabble-rousers here because they knew that they weren't going to be able to create that kind of disorder that they were creating in other parts of the country. So I think as a leader, you have to set expectations. You have to be willing to make tough decisions, but you have to be clear and and open about what your expectations are. And I was from the get-go.
How much of that is also having the governor that supports your ability to do that? Meaning, we had the Hamas guys took over a road outside Orlando. They were up there for 12 minutes, and he loves telling people, they got it for 12 minutes, and then we got them all out of there.
And he helped when there were some issues on the turnpike and on the expressway, which are technically Florida Highway Patrol jurisdiction. He acted very decisively, and we also supported him in those things. So, it's a team effort, and there's no doubt that having the governor, act swiftly and decisively is important. You need to have, the upper level elected officials supporting your decisions.
So, where are you on this property tax situation? This seems to be now. I'm
taking my coffee here.
Yeah. Well, I'm going full Floridian on you because this seems to be what DeSantis wants his kind of parting gift to Florida to be. We have record tourism where we're bringing in plenty of money. We run slim budgets here, blah, blah, blah. But it seems to me that the Republican legislature is kind of against it, which I don't fully understand. Where are you, although you will not be mayor at the time?
So this is the part that I'm a little confused about the initiative. And I would welcome a conversation with him about it. Happy to discuss it with him and get his perspective on this, because the city of Miami, which has lowered the property tax rate to the lowest level ever, so which means we're the leanest we've ever been, right? We have a surplus with the lowest tax rate. So we're very fiscally sound. I got the city in bankruptcy. So we took it from bankruptcy to fiscally sound. We were Doge before Doge existed, okay? Because we had to cut in 2009, 20% of our budget in 1 year because we were 20% out of balance. And I had to take on the unions to do it, and it was very painful, right? Nobody's ever had to do that. The states never had to do that. The federal government certainly hasn't done that. And we were the first ones and really the only ones to do that as a government. The concern I have, or the question that I have, is the following. So the city of Miami generates 45% of its revenue from property taxes, okay? 45%. Mm-hmm. So it's not a question of leanness, right? It's a question of, if we had to reduce tomorrow or eliminate tomorrow 45% of our budget, how many police officers are we going to lay off? How many firefighters are we going to lay off, right? Or are we going to reduce their salary by 45%?
So is the counter to that there's going to be some bump in sales tax, which will mostly affect the tourists?
So that's the question, right? I think that part hasn't been articulated. So if I'm the incoming mayor, or if I were the mayor, if I could get reelected, that would be my concern, which is I can't look at my police officers in the face and tell them they need to take a 45% pay cut.
Right.
Or I can't let go of 4 out of 10 police officers, because that homicide rate that I've been focusing on is a byproduct of the fact that as we've grown this 150% over the last 10 years, we've been able to hire more officers. We want to continue to hire more because we need more.
Are we still getting the guys from New York coming down? And I have a feeling we'll get to Mamdani in a second.
Well, the answer is yes. And the answer is hell yes when Mamdani gets elected, right? That's going to be, I think, a 20, 30, maybe 40% increase in demand, right? So if you're out there and want to buy a house, now's the time to buy the house. You got 2 months.
If you're craving more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics, check out our politics playlist right here. And if you don't want to miss any future videos, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell.